It's Sunday, June 27th, 2021. This is All About Your Benjamins and your weekly mixtape and weekend review video. I want to lead off with apologizing for the background noise you're getting today. The old handy dandy trusty lapel mics that I started my video career with about 4 years ago finally gave out. So you're probably hearing a little bit of wind, you get the birds, a little bit of chimes in the background. The birds and chimes probably aren't too bad, but the wind I have to apologize for. I'll be ordering some new lapel mics, so as I record outside, we kind of cut through some of that. But that's enough. Let's get to the headlines that may or may not be impacting your financial plan and portfolio. Before I do, hope you guys all had a great week, great couple weeks. Took last week off thanks to Father's Day, so happy belated Father's Day to everybody out there. Now let's get to the handful of headlines that we have below, so you can just see there's a few, so it shouldn't be too long. The first one I want to go to is just spending, consumer spending, and the Wall Street Journal had an article that talked about how Americans are spending more money coming out of lockdown and getting back into the economy, but they're spending it more on services than big one-ticket items. So a lot of the things we weren't able to do before because we were all at home, we're starting to do. Interesting, there was a conversation that Michael Batnick and maybe it was Josh Brown were talking about with lifestyle creep and having services and outsourcing that as well. I'm also wondering if some of these additional spending on services have to deal with being locked up and having to do all of these cleaning and laundry were some things they talked about, and wanting to go out and do more things and valuing our time a little bit more, that people are looking to outsource some of that. That would be one of the things that I would love to do. I would love to find a service to do most of our laundry because it's something that takes a lot of time with 3 boys, but it's something we haven't done yet. So anyways, the ramble is over. People are spending more money, which is obviously good for the economy. And a lot of that's going towards services rather than big ticket items, which if that's helping you find more time, then I think that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world if you can afford it, if it's in the budget. Next up, going to unemployment. We talk about that from time to time, just something to pay attention to. They're always reporting on it. And what we're seeing is unemployment benefits are declining as more states start to kind of wind down the programs they had in place for COVID. Wondering if this will trickle back into the employment picture from the standpoint of people coming back and unemployment going down and more people getting back to work. I know that firsthand experience in our household, finding people to work at a retail store, my wife's store, she's having a hard time to find people even to apply. I have clients that are having a hard time hiring. They want to hire, but just there's not the demand, or there's not a demand there for the jobs, at least in that sector of where they're working. So hopefully as some of these benefits wind down, it gives people incentive to go back and fill those jobs and then begin to work their way up the ladder, if you will, at their career. So again, unemployment benefits going down as some of the states begin to unwind their programs. During COVID, U.S. households gained $13.5 trillion in wealth. Some of that is coming from the additional payments that were received, not being able to go out and spend them. People savings are at one of the higher rates it's been in a long time. But then, as this article points out, the rich got richer faster than those that weren't rich gained their wealth, if that makes sense. So the wealth gap that we've talked about before continued. That's something that will probably be addressed over time. But I think the positive in this is even though the rich got richer, the wealthier gained, but so did everybody else. So they moved forward, which was a good thing. And then finally, talk about housing. The housing market, as we've talked about before, and you probably have seen firsthand or know somebody who's trying to buy or sell a house, continues to be hot. There's not enough supply for the demand that's out there, and you continue to see these wild prices. People spending hundreds of thousands of dollars over asking price to be able to buy their house. There is one area in that article that I do find a little bit troubling. It talks about Blackstone, which is an investment company, going out and buying up single-family residence homes to turn around and rent them. They want to have more exposure to real estate. And while I'm not usually one who likes to see free markets messed with, the problem I see there is you have these big institutions that have all of this money who can go ahead and pay hundreds of thousands of dollars over and make it more competitive for families who actually want to go and buy their first house or upgrade their house. But now they find themselves in a position where they're fighting against Blackstone or other investment companies, and they can't compete. The investment companies have much deeper pockets. Do I see a situation where these companies end up owning all of the single-family residences? And I don't see that being the problem. I just think it is. It's got to be frustrating to be missing out on a home that you really want because you're competing against an investment company with deep pockets. So I don't know if this causes any long-term problems to the housing market. That's not what my big concern there is. I just hate to see families who have worked hard, prepared well, followed their financial plans, be in a position to buy that house and then lose out because prices are so elevated. Whether it is they're competing against the investment company one-on-one, or because these investment companies are coming in, driving up the prices and making it more competitive for individuals wanting to buy homes, it's the trickle-down effect from that I don't necessarily love. I don't know what the answer is, which is why I usually try not to complain, because I don't think you should complain unless you have a solution or a way to maybe fix it, or some ideas at least. And I don't know if we need to come in and say that investment companies can't buy single-family homes right now because of the demand and the supply problems. But I just think that it's not something that I love seeing. There's plenty of other ways for Blackstone to go make money. If they don't have as much real estate exposure as they might want, I have a hard time feeling sorry for them. So anyways, that was the one area in that article. The main reason I wanted to bring that up, you already know housing is booming still, prices going up, supply not meeting demand, but that Blackstone part of the article I wanted to highlight just to point that out there. So that's it. So make sure that you scroll down below if you're watching this on All About Your Benjamins. If you're watching this on YouTube, head to allaboutyourbenjamins.com. Check out the mixtape articles from the week. Had to catch up a little bit, have a couple from the previous week as well since we skipped last week. But with that, I'll let you get back to your weekend or your week if you're watching this on Monday, and we'll see you all in the next episode.